Hello everyone and welcome to another GTA Online Racing episode, and in this video I'm going to be talking about pressure. In particular, how to keep yourself from feeling pressure and how to keep cool under pressure. So the videos that you're watching, the footage that you're watching is basically, one is from a random race where there was quite a few crew members in. This is on Grand Tour, so obviously it's a reasonably long one, but it is quite a close one all the way to the end. And the second one is from one of the subscriber lobbies. This is on Party on Palito Bay, and it's on, both of the videos have an element of feeling pressure and what you should and shouldn't do when you're under pressure. So obviously pressure is, it's a general thing that you will find in everyday racing. You are likely to come under pressure in one way or another. If you are a good racer, you will find that you will run into other racers who are also good. If you're sort of mid-pack, there will always be someone who is able to beat you or able to at least push you as hard as you can, as hard as they can and hard as you can go. So it's all about trying to figure out how best you can cope with that. And a lot of the time, it's these kind of silly mistakes that crop in and things like that end up ruining your chances of beating that person or beating a couple of people. They generally happen when you're under pressure. So if you're just to say in the lead of a race, you'll find that you might make a mistake that you wouldn't otherwise make just because there are 2 or 3 guys behind you also, gunning for you right close, and you just feel the pressure of their presence. So before I get into the main topic of this, I just want to say that I do now I've kind of seen a couple of things regarding Slipstream, now that Slipstream has been turned off, and looking back at kind of these videos where Slipstream couldn't be turned off, I really do believe that that having Slipstream on is probably one of the worst things you could possibly do. I've also been, I've seen a couple of races on YouTube where Slipstream was turned off but catch-up was turned on. And the effect, although catch-up is, such a pain in the ass, it's a horrible mechanic, although the effect doesn't seem anywhere near as bad when Slipstream is turned off. And I really do think that Slipstream is one of the main causes of bad races, really. If I would much rather now really join a race that has Slipstream off and catch-up on than the other way around. As you'll see here, I take this corner quite well in this race, and I managed to get up in the lead. But by the time the long straight we've got back to the long straight, those two behind me slipstream each other and managed to catch up to me. And it's one of those things that on long straights like this, on long tracks like this, slipstream is just awful because it ruins any. You can be as good as you want in the corners and it's not going to make a difference because people can just slipstream you anyway. So yeah, I really do think that slipstreaming and catch-up, slipstreaming for me now is worse than catch-up, I would have to say. I don't like either of them. Slipstreaming, maybe it has its place, there is a certain thing you can work around it, I suppose. You can change the way you race to accommodate for slipstream where you can't with catch-up. I can understand that, but I would have to say slipstreaming ruins a race more than catch-up does. Although, well, no, I'm not going to say that. I'll take that back. They're both as bad as each other, I'll say that. Always race with slipstream and catch-up off because it's the best. So yeah, back into the main topic of feeling the pressure. So in sort of long races like this where it's a long straight and things like that, the chances of not being around with someone in the same general area as them is pretty slim, because if there's a few good racers all in the same race, there's not a lot that can differentiate them. So you have to be able to not make mistakes, because any one single mistake that you do make is going to be punished massively. So say I was to just hit a tree or hit something here, that would be it. I would have no chance of winning this race. Even if it's a lot better to be a little bit more cautious in those situations than it is to push a bit too hard, because you're always in with a chance of getting a result by being cautious, whereas if you push too hard and make a mistake, then that's it, the result is over. So dealing with pressure is quite a difficult thing, because it changes the dynamic of how you feel when you're driving the car. When your hands are on the controller, your palms are sweaty, You know, in races that actually mean something. I'm not saying this was one, but you know, in those races where you know if you don't win very much and you're in the lead by a short margin, or you know that there's something on the line, the pressure can get to you and it can tell. And the way to deal with it is to try your best to concentrate on what you're doing right now. So one of the worst things that you can really do is look behind you. So if you're in a racing situation and you are in front of a couple of people, the worst thing that you can do is look back at them and look to see how, if they are gaining on you. One of the worst things that you can do is press down on the D-pad and bring up all the timing systems and things like that, because it's distracting you from what you need to be doing, which is concentrating on getting the car on the track as fast as possible. And it's also, if say you are being caught at maybe a tenth of a second every checkpoint or something like that, if that happens, it just makes you feel even worse and it adds to the pressure. So yeah, don't be looking behind you, because that in itself is a bad thing to do because you aren't concentrating on the race. And don't look at the lap times that you can bring up. So as you can see there, I can't believe he got such speed there. I have to say, from that slipstream, it was crazy. But yeah, he just flew off and basically then only had one corner to make and ended up going too fast. Probably because of the slipstream, I would say. But you know, that pressure of being in a close situation all the way through the race has, you know, told there. Whether it was the pressure that made the difference, I don't know, or whether it was just the slipstream being caught off guard or just not having the experience with the track. But either way, that one mistake has cost him the race, and that's how it happens. If you make one mistake in a close race, you will not win. So you are much better off playing it a little bit cautious, especially if you're in a strong position. So if you're in the lead by a fair margin, 1 or 2 seconds, something like that, even that is enough, especially by the time that you get to the end of the track, to be even more cautious than normal, because they're going to still be pushing. They have more chance of making mistakes, and the chances of them catching you up are pretty slim. So at the end of that race on Grand Tour, if he'd have slowed down much earlier than he normally would have done, even under normal circumstances, I still probably wouldn't have been able to catch up, even going as hard as I can, because he had that little bit of a gap. So, you know, it's all about making the right decisions at the right moments, and that comes with experience. But everyone can do it, and it doesn't matter how much experience you have. It's funny because on the Grand Tour race, when I was in the lead, along that long straight after the airfield, I looked behind, I had a look at the timing system in the top left, and then I opened up the big map and had a look at that as well. So I wasn't concentrating on anything, and then what happened? I get overtaken straight after that, and that shows exactly what happens. And there again, I'd make the mistake that you shouldn't be doing when you're in the lead. You know, I had a massive lead, and my lead was actually so great that in this race I was able to make that mistake and still end up being first after making the mistake and after respawning. But in a race where it was a close situation, if people had been close behind me, then that would have lost me so much time, and I would have been further down the pack, and it would have been hard for me to get back up again. So you can always make these mistakes, and so you've just got to try and catch yourself from doing it. But when you are under pressure, when you are in the lead, when you've got a lead to keep, you have to work on focusing on the little things. Keep your mind towards just getting around the next corner, getting around the next lap, doing the little things right, not pushing too hard, just taking it easy, and you'll find that your results will become more consistent with that. And that's all that you're looking for, is more consistency. And the more consistent that you do get, then you'll be able to get even quicker and quicker, and gradually build up that overall speed that will allow you to win races consistently. So yeah, this has just literally been about feeling the pressure, and when you are in those pressure moments, you've just got to focus on doing what you do best, which is racing. Obviously, when you're in a battle with someone, that's totally different. You have to fight them. But when you have that gap, when you are on your own, just focus on the track in front of you. Don't focus on what's behind you at all. Don't even think about it. you only have to think about what's behind you when they catch you up. Essentially, you don't need to worry about it before then, and there's no point in looking back, because all you're going to do is distract yourself from what you need to be doing, which is just getting around the track as quickly as possible. And it is difficult at times, you know, you will catch yourself looking at the map, looking at the timings, things like that. But when you do catch yourself, just make sure to not do it again for the rest of the race, and just focus on the moment that you're in. Essentially, if you're racing with people, if you're out on your own, if you're trying to catch people up, focus on that instead of focusing on the map or anything external. So yeah guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. It was just a little one to explain a little bit more about feeling the pressure and hopefully help you guys out when you are in those situations. So thanks a lot for watching. If you did enjoy, leave a like, and I'll see you next time.